An electron has a constant acceleration of positive 3.2 meters per second squared. At a certain instant, its velocity is 9.6 meters per second. So we want to find what is its velocity 2.5 seconds earlier, 2.5 seconds later. So we have the electron at this point, and at this point, the electron has a velocity of 9.6 meters per second. But 2.5 seconds earlier, of course, the velocity of the electron was lower because there was a positive acceleration. So the electron was gaining velocity. So I know the final velocity. I don't know what was the initial velocity of the electron 2.5 seconds earlier. Using one of the equations that we use in motion in one direction, we can say that the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus acceleration time. As I said, in this case, I don't know the initial velocity. What I know is the final velocity. So we'll solve for initial velocity. Subtracting acceleration time from both sides, we get that the final velocity minus acceleration time is equal to the initial velocity. So what is this final velocity? Is 9.6 meters per second minus the acceleration. There is 3.2 meters per second squared times the time, that was 2.5 seconds. This is equal to the initial velocity. So we perform these operations and we get 9.6 meters per second minus, you multiply 3.2 times 2.5, that give you 8, and meters per second squared times second, it would be meters per second, of course, right? Because we have the product of meters per second squared times second. So we're going to cancel this second with one of these, and then we're going to get as output the unit meters per second. So this is 8 meters per second, and this is equal to the initial velocity. So the initial velocity of the electron was 1.6 meters per second. So 1.6 meters per second was the velocity of the electron 2.5 seconds earlier. Now, we're going to find 2.5 seconds later. So we are now here with our electron moving at a 9.6 meters per second velocity with a constant acceleration of 3.2 meters per second in the same direction of the velocity. So I know now the initial velocity of the electron. I don't know the final velocity. That would be 2.5 seconds after, this instant. So using the same equation, we say Bf is equal to B initial plus acceleration time, right? In this case, I know the initial velocity. I don't know the final velocity. So we say final velocity of velocity after 2.5 seconds would be 9.6 meters per second plus the acceleration that we said is 3.2 meters per second squared times the time, that is 2.5 seconds, right? So the final velocity here is 9.6 meters per second plus 8 meters per second, so it would be a final velocity of 17.6 meters per second. So after 2.5 seconds of this instant, where my electron is moving at 9.6 meters per second, the velocity of the electron would be 17.6 meters per second.